How's it going, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome to another reaction video. I just got done watching the 2021 version of Dune and got some things to say about it, but I should probably let you guys know right away that I am not a Dune fan, okay? I've never read the book. I've never seen the original movie. I've never watched the so-called miniseries. I think there's a miniseries about it. I don't know. I did not see the movie in theaters. I actually watched it on HBO Max just because I had a lot of stuff going on and I didn't want to spend the money to go to a theater just because initially I really had no interest in this movie, but the more I saw the trailers and heard what other people were saying, I'm like, okay, I've got some time. I'm just relaxing at home. Let's turn on HBO Max and see what all the fuss is about. So I took a seat, turned on HBO Max and watched the new Dune movie. And it's going to sound a little bit strange, but if you're like me and you've never read the book or seen the original movies, then you'll probably want to tune in for this because then maybe I can kind of give you guys an idea of what you can expect. But if you are a Dune fan, then probably just don't watch this because, you know, I may say something that maybe you liked and I didn't, or I liked and you didn't like, yada, yada, yada. But just to stress right now, I'm not a Dune fan, okay? I viewed this movie as a non-Dune fan. So I'm going to be reviewing this and trying to recommend it to you guys if you've never read the book or seen the original movie and you're at all curious about this one. And as always, now with my new first reaction videos for new movies, no spoilers, don't worry, you're safe. But yeah, Dune. One thing I do have to say right off the bat, in case you guys are curious, this isn't a story spoiler, but it's what people have suspected and what I believe the director has said. But this movie is part one of part two, part three. I'm not sure how many parts they're doing with this one, but when the movie opens up, it does say Dune Part 1. So you're not getting the complete Dune story, just to throw that out there. So if you're at all curious, please know that this movie is actually Dune Part 1, all right? Now, what did I think about this movie? Now, like I said, initially I had no interest in seeing this movie, but the movie had a lot of great actors and actresses in it, so that was one thing that drew me into it. I thought the trailers looked pretty cool. The sets, the sound, everything about this movie looks good. My only negatives for me for this movie would be that I didn't quite understand the story at some times. Maybe if I rewatched it again, maybe I'd be able to pick up on a few more things, but that was one thing. I was a little bit confused on the story, but I think I got it for the most part. And my second negative is that I think what a lot of people have been saying about the movie is that as certain things happen in the movie, you almost feel like, okay, the movie's going to end right here. Okay, I can live with that. But then the movie just keeps on going and you're like, okay, let's just see how this goes. And while the ending feels like a pretty decent conclusion, I don't know. When the movie ended, I was just like, in the end, I was just sitting there and I'm just like, okay, so, all right, so this is part one. Okay, let's see what part two is going to bring. And I don't even think they've confirmed that part two is actually happening yet since this movie just came out. But yeah, there are times where you feel like the movie is going to end, but it just keeps on going. And that might be good for some of you guys. Like, you know, you guys, obviously, you know, for me, since I'm a big fan of films, like if a movie is really long, like I'm excited to see what the director and the creators bring to the table as long as, you know, I'm interested in it. And Dune is about 2 hours and 35 minutes long. So it's a long movie. And I will say, even though I was confused on the story, I wasn't bored. I was not bored with the movie. You know, I would probably want a couple different things to happen throughout, but for the most part, I did enjoy myself. But yeah, for my negatives, it's really just those two things that you feel like the movie should end at certain points that would really end on like a very intense moment that would lead into part two. And with the second being is that I didn't quite understand the story at some times. But now let's get on to the positives. All the actors in this movie, fantastic job. Everyone did such a great job. No one did a bad job at all. Everyone brought their A game, and that was really good. The sets for this movie were incredible. This movie looks really good. And the music by Hans Zimmer, I mean, the man's a legend. The man could literally, you can give any movie to him and he can make an amazing soundtrack to it. So everything from the look of the movie, the sound of the movie, the actors, everything was just really, really good. But as the movie finished up, I kind of said to myself, okay, would I rewatch it again? Maybe if I was bored. The movie is definitely one of those movies where I feel like if you're a sci-fi nerd and you like this kind of stuff, then I really feel like then maybe you should see Dune, just because of everything that the director and his team brought to the table. But at the same time, though, if that's not really your thing, I really can't recommend Dune to... I really don't know how I could recommend it to anybody. If you're a fan of sci-fi like me, and maybe you've seen the trailers and it's kind of piqued interest in you, and you like all the actors that are in it, then I would definitely say, okay, if you have some free time, give Dune a chance. You might like it. It might be something amazing for you. But if this really isn't your thing, then you're really not missing much besides probably some great performances by actors. But you're probably not going to get into the movie if you're not a big fan of that stuff. But in the end, I decently enjoyed my time. There wasn't really much that really stood out to me besides the sets and the music and the actors. Like, there wasn't really a moment that I could really say that really hooked me. It was really exciting, but it did look and sound cool, and that's really all I can say. And I wish I could say a little bit more, but again, as talking about this movie from a non-fan perspective, I liked it. If this movie does great in the box office and we're able to get a part 2, would I go see a part 2? Yeah, I'd probably go see part 2 because now I'm into the story. I want to see how it ends. I would go see part 2. But I will say I don't see myself rewatching this movie anytime soon. Maybe if I get bored again and I just want to sit back and see if I can put together the pieces of the story that I really wasn't understanding, but it was still a great watch. I wasn't bored, but I did get close to being bored. I will say that. There were a few moments where I'm like, okay, something happened here, something happened. But for the most part, I did enjoy myself. And as far as a grade, because like I said, this is only part 1. Oh man, I'm not sure how I want to grade this movie. I'm going to give it an A-. I'm going to be generous with this. I'm giving it an A- just because of everything from my positives. Like, this is a movie that is shot very well. The sets look amazing. The actors all do a great job. Everything is just great to see in this movie. And I think for the cinematography alone, it definitely deserves an A+. But I'm giving it an A- just because I personally just was confused on the story. I didn't understand it fully, and I need to go back and see it again when I want to watch it again and, pick up on all that stuff. And also, there are just times where you really feel like the movie should end, but it just keeps on going. And while I was intrigued with what was going on, there were maybe a few points where I'm like, okay, are we going to wrap this up? Okay, we'll keep going. Okay, let's see where this goes. But I would definitely, if you're a sci-fi fan, I would definitely recommend this movie. I think Dune would surprise you, even if, it's not really your thing, but you're a big movie nut like myself. Go see it for the cinematography, the music, and the actors alone, because they all are just phenomenal. But yeah, if sci-fi is not really your thing, and maybe you like the actors, but you're just not into what Dune brings to the table for those that are in that same boat for this movie, you might not like the movie. But if you like the actors, go see the actors. They did great. But yeah, I don't see myself rewatching Dune anytime soon. It was definitely enjoyable. I think the movie looked, performed, and sounded great. I will go see part 2 if they make it, but as of right now, I'm okay with what I saw. It's not like, it's not going to make, I don't feel like going out to getting the Blu-ray as Jeremy Johns says. I feel like not getting the Blu-ray, but I mean, if it's on HBO Max, I'll go and maybe I'll watch it if part 2 gets announced and I want to go and watch it again. But yeah, and that's Dune. I'll see you guys next time.